Okay, good morning. Just a recap on week two. So we started discussing on current manufacturing practices, that is good manufacturing practices, good documentation practices. Then we covered last week with Ms. Lakshmi on COPPA, OOD, OOS, all the stuff. And in between, we discussed briefly by Prasanna on quality risk management and pharmaceutical quality system. Have you observed a flow in the concepts, flow in the schedule? Have you seen something that is very inherent to this week two module, that outcome of the week two module based outcome, what we are looking? You look at the concepts, just the general English. In the first 2 days, you talked about, in the first day, you talked about two lectures, lot of goodness, right? Goodness, good manufacturing, current means up to date knowledge, and all this stuff. And jumping on to the Thursday lecture, you had a completely different picture of the goodness. You're looking on kappa, you're looking on corrections, you're looking on audits, you're looking on something completely that is opposite side of the first lecture, right? Basically, you're saying something good, all the rules are there, all the books are there. But again, within 48 hours, you're thinking, oh, no, no, we have to look on these aspects on this, what is out of specification, out of deviation. Then why do you need to talk about deviation first at all? If you are looking in the first current good manufacturing documentation, the information has been given, the rules have been established. Why do you need to talk about any corrections later just in 48 hours? So that logic brings you, again, chalk in between the sandwich, you see the concept of risk, quality risk management, and pharmaceutical quality system. So you see, inherently they are very interlinked. You say something rule, but one factor we have to consider as we will talk about in today's lecture a little bit on what factors really influences this implementation of these GDPs and then how the outcome comes. One of the key factor I would like to emphasize on the human factor. Okay, try to understand that human factor plays a key role in pharmaceutical industry. We work with machines, but at the same time we work with people. We work with different people, different rules, different establishments. So if you are in a QC, if you are in a production, if you are in something, sometimes you may not communicate with the people. You have distinct roles. So if a role is being given, some information has been passed, there may be a risk factor comes because of the human factor, and few more records and few more hypotheses may didn't work. So we will briefly, I would like to emphasize today on what the risk factors that can contribute to some of the issues that we face in producing a high quality drugs that deals with the patient's life. One aspect we will deal that already Prasanna covered briefly, and a little bit about the pharmaceutical qualities. Again, you might have to work on already. You might have worked with Mishra ji and Lakshmi about what is the document, what is the record. That's a distinction. Please be aware of it. One quiz question might come there. What is document? What is record? You should be knowing about the fundamental aspect of that. So just a recap on this. In the first week, basic toolkit, we worked on drug life cycle. We worked on how the system works, pharmaceutical, biopharmaceutical product, QA and QC roles, and overall organization and organogram, all we looked on. But some of the key factors you need to look here. We already discussed methods and techniques, raw material and packaging are also important, machines and all. One of the key factors is man and woman, man and machine, man and woman, woman and machine, you can say whatever you'd like to. So there are many factors here, so contribute to the final product. So when you look for a process of one more aspect, for example, as I said, there is a distinct divisions in pharmaceutical industry. And the final product doesn't come from QC alone, right? If a product comes, if a product or drug product or a tablet comes out of a pharma industry, it is an integral part of the effort. Everyone starting from the engineering department, packing department that we discussed. So this is one more aspect of the people who are working. And then coming on to the technology transfer. So that's one of the important terms. You should keep an eye on that. You will be dealing with. You may be in one of the middle step. You may be in the beginning step working on the technology transfer that we already discussed. Development of a technology by R&D and then transfer of technology to production, production to formulation, formulation to production, production to again the end of the final product. But in between, technology transfer documentation. That's what we talked about, good documentation practices, good manufacturing practices. So you see the slides are transitioning. But if you go in realistic, real-time picture, how the process moves on, you may be dealing with the machines, you may be dealing with something else, you may be dealing with engineering, you may be dealing with HVAC system, you may be dealing with common factor, that is a human factor. Think about that. Keep a keen eye on that. So yes, establishment has been done, but why still there are risks? Okay, then we need to simply scrutinize the part of the risks, how this happened. Just one example, we need to look into life cycle of the drug we discussed. Clinical trials, preclinical, post-production, stability testing, looking more on that. One question has been asked by someone else, if I remember, I don't remember the name exactly. Why still there is existence of side effects? Maybe I reiterated the point. Side effects are still there. Okay? The side effects are still there means there is some risk involved. The patient obliges, the patient signs a consent form if he's going for a clinical trial or if he's a drug, he's taking a drug through prescription. The consumer, the patient consents to that. I oblige with the risks. And he is confident on the quality system by pharma industry or the regulatory agency that you would have minimized the risk. I'm okay to take the minimal risk and take the tablet, deal with the side effect. So one important aspect is that the risk, last point I mentioned, it cannot be zero. You cannot make a risk-free product in any of this production, in not only pharmaceutical, in any other stuff. For example, take security softwares. Yeah, Microsoft, you download an update for a system, it crashes. It crashes overnight. It says that it's a mandatory requirement. You have to download, otherwise the machine will not work. You go ahead, follow the rules, and you go and do it. That's it. In the morning you wake up, your system crashed. The ultimate reason is because of the update, there is some glitch or there is some code that was wrong, so it crashed. So you have to oblige with the risk factor. In general, in pharmaceutical, the minimal risk will come. Why the minimal risk is minimized is the one of the concept we will be doing. So what are the risks? Why they exist first place? Who is accountable if a risk goes into a blender or some other very good English terminology? Mishraji put it on. What is error? What is risk? What is mistake? What is blunder? Those kind of stuff. What can be done to minimize risks? Can we remove the risk factor to zero? That cannot be accomplished. But as humans, we always try to reach that. So in case of small example of security and data all in software, humans are the one to blame for, because you deal with machine and man at the situation of software engineering, not much happens. So in that scenario, mainly you can humans, but in pharmaceutical industry, there are many risk factors. Many things contribute to the production of the risk. So just talk about the risk, how you can work to lower the risk, right? We work together as a team. We work with some specific guidelines. We brainstorm. We, as humans, other than other animals in our phylogeny, we have a little bit of common sense that's been given in our brain. So sometimes we have to use the common sense factor. And your training, then risk analysis, common sense, brainstorming, reference to already established protocol, regulatory guidelines in terms of pharma, and then finally you make a decision. The decision, again, you cannot guarantee risk-free decision, 100% risk-free decision. But if you look at the chart here, likelihood of the outcome may be low and high in terms of low and high relative impact for the risk. You think in that, there are 4 quadrants there, okay? When you start a process in the R&D, when you have to produce a drug or any other research hypothesis in your small lab, you are working anywhere, you first write down the points, look into the outcome of the project. But first you have to analyze the risks. When you analyze the risks, you have to make this quadrant. If I do with the plan A, where I am putting myself in the quadrant. If I go with plan Z or Z, where I am staying. So you have to try A to Z if you are testing an unknown hypothesis. But in pharmaceutical industry, R&D system works. They might have started with this chart blank. They might have done a lot of experiments, a lot of hypotheses can be tested. At the end, they might go into a quadrant that is low risk and high reward. That's what they, R&D or any formulation, any company, At the end, they want to implement, they want to invest a rupee, a penny, or anything into that, a cent. They want to see the quadrant 4 coming up from the R&D and all the management, all the systems, consultancy, management, CEOs, and the finance sector and the R&D department. They sit together. They take few months or 6 months to propose a proposal. They come to a point to convince the management that we are in the quadrant 4 based on this, avoiding all this. That is one of the main criteria you have to remember in pharmaceutical industry also. All over the world, we are always aiming high towards quadrant 4, giving the best effort to go into the quadrant 4. Low risk and high reward. The risk is here is safety of the patient. Utmost sincerity and safety of the patient, that he should not be put at risk for taking the product. That has to be really kept in mind. So to come to quadrant 4, the pharmaceutical system all over the world, if you know about the ICH, right? How many of you have read about some of the guidelines, ICH 9, 10, 8? Have you looked at it? Have you looked more information other than the lectures? Any of you guys? ICH 8, ICH Q8, Q9, Q10? Anyone opened Q8? There is a website. I didn't put the link intentionally. There is a link available. You can go on, you can download all the documents required. I might be today talking one of the document they established. Okay, be proactive. Don't need to be blindly to the presentation and the speaker. You have to be proactive, looking into more information on your own. So to minimize the risk, the International Conference on Harmonization, or they termed it again International Council for Harmonization recently. That was I was discussing, right? It should be a conference or it should be a council. Previously it was called a conference, and presently it's called International Council for Harmonization, but both are synonymous. Don't need to remember much about that. That's the website address, ich.org home. You can go look in that. There's a lot of guidelines from Q8 we have discussed. Q8, Q9, Q10, Prasanna discussed. But anyone have seen what is Q1 at least? What is Q1 about? Okay, Q10. How many are there below Q10? Okay.
14, sir.
14. What is that 14?
Q1 stability, Q2 for analytical validation, Q3 for impurities, Q4 for pharmacopoeias.
I want the only Q14. What is it?
Q14, sir. Analytical procedure development.
Good job. Yeah, there's all things established there. So, for example, in the risk management process, this is the product life cycle. Any product in pharmaceutical, we discussed all about this in the first lectures where I was introducing GLP, GCP, GMP, GDP. Already we covered a little bit, but looking on the terms, safety, efficacy, and quality. These three are the paramount features, that is the ultimate goal of any pharma product, pharma industry, or any pharma person working in it. So you see ICH Q9, where it's playing a role. It plays a key role in quality, checking on that. But you should be also sure that this giving an end result of this ICH Q9 guideline, but it's integral to the whole system. I will talk about that in sales. And it's not, you don't feel that we put it in the quality, that emphasizing that ICH Q9 contributes to the quality to be risk-free. But it's working in the whole process. Doesn't seem that it's working with only one process at the end of the process. The quality risk management Q9, Q10 pharmaceutical quality system. So what is Q9? Quality risk management. So it's established in 2005, guidelines, principles, examples, and what's been done. It's pharmaceutical quality starting from development, manufacturing, distribution, inspection, review process, documentation, life cycle of the drug, products, any of the biotech product, packaging, excipient, solvents, labeling material, everything includes. That's risk is inherent to all the factors that comes in and the product goes out. You cannot eliminate any one of the factors, because if you eliminate that, you will not be in the quadrant 4. You will go to quadrant 1 or you will go below quadrant 1, because you missed one packaging material not to check the quality risk of it. You started the process at the end. When the QC and QA and then audit comes, they said that this labeling package had some microorganism contamination. So you will go through all the process, you will eliminate human factor. No, no, all my fellows are trained well, they did the best job. No, we don't see any OODs, overseas rights, we don't see any kappa coming up. But you missed the thing that packaging material was not checked properly and that contamination. You might have come up. It's not like that you will find it at the end of the process. If packaging material was not tested properly, you have a system, right? QC is there, QA is there. If some deviation happened, that some new guy or some other people by mistake, they didn't confirm with it that there is contamination, then immediately there will be one more step, one more manager has to approve it. When he wants to test, he will do one more time testing. Then if any there deviation, he will raise an OOD and then they will look into why the deviation, who did what. There is a system that kappa will come up that Ms. Lakshmi explained by case basis. Okay, that's the way one of the important thing. It works with all the systems to minimize the risk. So one more important factor here is that ICH Q9, though we say 1 to 14, Q1 to 14 systems, all are integrated. You cannot again listen, but they made it to simplicity as the humans we comprehend to understand the processes. We divided them into Q1 to 14 so that you can understand, train the people properly. No one person cannot do all the 14 activities, right? Can any person can do it? He cannot. Maybe a person started in Q1 or started in some Q9 at the basic level. After 15 to 20 or 30 or 40 years experience, just like Mishraji, then he might understand most of it. But when I asked Mishraji, can you know about everything? He said, no, I won't be. I will be knowing about QC and QA where my expertise is there. If you ask me something else in some other department, I may not be an expert in that, but he will have a general sense, he will have a common sense to understand, seeing all the mistakes coming up, all audits and all, he might guess, right? He can rightly guess based on the experience that maybe this person in the department you have to check for the auditing this coming up, my department is not. So that comes. So one more important aspect, so ICH Q9 works with Q8, works with Q10, internally a triangle forms, they work together. The Q8 is a product development, a pharmaceutical development process, that is an important. Q10 is again pharmaceutical quality system, Q9 is risk development. So one more important stuff you have to analyze here, as a biology students, as understanding hypothesis-driven research. Any one of you doubt the research process? Hypothesis-driven research or scientific research, scientific communication, rationale, any of you doubt it? If you go with a hypothesis, plan, experiment, deviate, plan B, plan A, you will have confidence in the process, right? Scientific process is very well established. It's a very nice process that you properly look into that, you get the best results out of it on evidence-based results, science-based, evidence-based results that you cannot really doubt it. If a common man you tell, you see the advertisement happening in, I was seeing yesterday some wall paint approved by Indian Medical Association, I think some other company. They were saying the wife is pregnant and they're saying I'm protecting you through the paint also. They assured it with the Indian Medical Association. Paint is there, germs it will protect, some ion exchange, something, bacteria will not stick. So, if you say to a common man directly, he may doubt it. But if you say with the medical evidence, oh, there is some strength, sound to it. Yes, he doesn't know any of this. What is bacteria, gram-positive, gram-negative, he doesn't know. But when the science comes there, anyone, without any doubt, at least 90% they approve for it. So, in ICH Q9 also, a lot of scientific knowledge has been put up. Established experienced people who dealt with these risks, who have seen the risks from over 40 years when the pharma system started. They have seen it and they have worked with the best people to do better thing for the betterment of the patient health risk. So they also use the scientific methodology in between so that there is no human influence. There should be a scientific influence should be there. So all the guidelines are proven scientifically and then approved and documented and then submitted for the regulatory agencies. Documentation is important again, commensurate to the level of risk. Again, when the documentation does, no document will say zero risk. Please keep eye on that. They will say this, you follow these guidelines, this is the risk levels here. You follow these guidelines, risk level here, go to this Q8, go to 3.1, go to 3A, 3A, 3B, 310 like that. They will tell, follow this. Follow these guidelines, you go into your risk with the minimal 5% or 2% risk. If you go in another, you may go into 50% risk. That depends on the company, depends on the management, because if you want to go to risk of 2% or 5%, if you are starting a small company, you have to see whom you are catering the product, where is your workforce, where you are. Then you may not start from day one to go with the minimal 2% risk. It requires a lot of investments, lot of that. So you might start with a product that already approved by FDA with 20% risk factor, that is already approved. Been established that this product you take, you produce, you might be associated with 20% risk, but you are good to go. That's what the FDA approves or any other regulator. So you take the risk assessment, you go ahead with that level of risk, you will take a judgment. So again, this slide summarizes Q9, how does it work, and you see when Q9 works, it works with Q8 and Q10 together. Okay, we are not saying that Q9 alone, any one of the stuff comes up. What I want you to focus in this slide, start with the risk, perceived and real. You see the risk, what is the pixel, this kind of dimensions and volume. You see at the end of the slide, how is the volume of the risk? It's minimized, and again it's not removed completely. Okay, it's minimized. When you start with the risk, I don't want to talk too much about the stuff what's there in the PUP, and then you have to look into the stuff. You have to already taught by all the faculty. You look what is process understanding, what is process control. All those you should be knowing about that. I don't want to recapitulate on that again, but on your relaxed time you can go. One thing I want to emphasize: company's quality system. That's really important. Quality manual, that is important, that comes somewhere. Then I just want to emphasize on the risk first. It's not blank risk, there is already written perceived and real. So that when you start this risk at the beginning of the process, you already knew that there is a perceived and some percentage of risk that really exists. Then you go into the guidelines, QA and Q9. You implement with brainstorm, your department and all will come sit together, QA, QC, and there is a documentation department, regulatory department, higher level managements. They will form an SOP or guideline proposal. How do you go with the minimal risk? They may put the minimal risk as 5 or 10 or 2 or 1% based on the product where they are complying to or distributing. So this all will come up and see perceived and real. Then in the next slide, you don't see it. The perceived and real is out of the risk tab. Then you see that. Because you will minimize it. You will minimize the perceived and real. That may minimize that. Q8 and Q9 come documentation, and Q10 and Q9 come at the end. You do audits, inspection. You see the all important terms. CAPA will come somewhere. Audits will come. Submissions, documentation, everything that have been discussed by Mishra ji and Lakshmi. So this is important slide of summary. So this is again text. What I have, I'm reiterating the points. Product life cycle. Q9 works throughout the stuff. Then there is a scientific and data-driven decision-making process. All these things will come up. And then ranks risk prioritization. Okay, you allow this risk. It's okay. We can go ahead with this risk, but don't allow this risk. You prioritize. And quality that comes at the end. And then one more important thing is transparency and trust. So when you work with this process, the whole pharmaceutical industry comes at one point, just a single dot, they will come together. Everyone, there is no kind of rebuttal or nothing, like no one will stop. Once it's established, they work through in the beginning brainstorming, but when it's established, they trust everyone, they trust the process, and they go in a transparent way. No blame game will be there. They just approved by that, then you have to start the production. It just simply goes like 6 months. You don't need to again go back. No, I started production based on these risk factors. Now we are in 1 month. I am seeing something. I want to go back and restart it, saying the proposal changing. You cannot do that. Once it's established, it's signed, approved by the heads. You have to go ahead to do it, whether you get it at the end or not. You have to go ahead with 6 months. All will come up. If there is any problem, Then there is again kappa audits will come. The file will be generated based on why there is a failure here again by looking into so much deep into the proposal. They will again, that is really an important information. They sometimes pharmaceutical industry or regulatory compliances, they love to see the systems failing. Okay, try to understand that. They don't want, FDA never wants that given all 100 proposals, they don't want to accept 100. Out of them, they may accept 2 or 5 only, but they want the data from the 95. That 95 failures tells them that the risks associated with it so that through a proper channel they can document it, they can amend the current good manufacturing practices, they can change good documentation practices. And SOPs can be, as you said, SOPs regional and department based, there is a change in SOP you can do. That already Lakshmi talked about. Because the person doing the head of the quality unit, you are allowed to change the SOP based on the instances, regional requirement. But when you change it, you have to update to the regulatory agents. They will look, they will approve or not. That will be again signed by them, approved by them. Then only you can start working on the new SOP. That amendment. So one more important aspect, what does senior management need to do? Okay, senior management in terms of quality or in terms of finance management sector, because whatever you scientifically approve, if your research grant is not funded, you want 10 crores to do research, the finance department or the government didn't fund, you cannot do anything. So you have to sit all together, get the opportunity, get the finance people out, talk about the risk. There should be QRM leaders. Those are the one with high integrity and high expertise. They will be not the beginners. They will be the one like Mishraji, like Lakshmi Achta. They will be looking at QRM leaders. They know and how to analyze and how to scrutinize, and they go in a very formal way. No, nothing to show fingers on that. They, if there is an issue, they will formally go back and start with the procedure. OOS, OOD, OOT, and then the CAPA, audit, and then discussion. That they will give a file. So conclusion. ICH9 together Q8 and Q10 is it is always revised, optimized, and less restrictive regulatory paradigm. You will have some flexibility in this system so that you can improvise. This is scientific knowledge, continuous the process of continuous improvement, continuous process verification (CPV). That I didn't see that abbreviation coming. You remember about that? Continuous process verification, continuous improvement. That's an important factor. You will be continuously monitoring. Though you approve with the proposal, you think it's the best. You, when it starts from day 1 to 6 months, end of the 6 months, but there is continuous improvement and verification process. CPV will be happening. If any deviation, again I have discussed, you cannot really say that, okay, 6 months I will be going on a vacation. I have given the proposal, top management says, okay, start from today, 6 months, product should be delivered to Europe and USA, bye bye, I am going on vacation. Do you think it is acceptable from the higher management? Do you think it is acceptable? Can they take vacation? 6 months you work on production to produce. They cannot. They cannot. All top the management, everyone in the hierarchy, when it starts 3 months, 6 months production, 6 months continuous process verification will be there all through these procedures. So they will look into find if any risk comes, it's okay, they will analyze all opportunities, they will look for and control over the opportunities that come. So one more summary slide for ICH9. The evaluation of the risk to quality should be based on scientific knowledge. Yes, scientific knowledge should be there. You cannot do without that. No one will accept that. Regulatory agencies will not accept that. And ultimate protection to the patient that comes through science. The level of effort, again, quality management process, the formality and documentation, where GDP will come. You commensurate with the level of risk, not to the null, not to the zero. You already knew the risk and you will commensurate the process, document it to the level of the risk. So again, simple life cycle of the drug or life cycle of the whole process of the pharmaceutical industry. Design, process, material, facility, the manufacturing, distribution, and the patient is at the end, starting with the design. Opportunities to impact risk using quality risk management. A lot of opportunities are there, right? Because a lot of tech transfer happens, a lot of hands change, a lot of things come up. But you see A and you see Z and the end, in the middle, a lot of stuff comes up. So the risk management comes all there. So this summary, this brings about unexpected consequences. You see, injury or death of the patient. A case happened. A drug went through all the process. It's released. The patient has taken. Some injury happened or something unexpected happened, and very bad case, death happened. This is one of the thing as a regulatory agent or a pharma or any of the pharma employee or as a human being, you will be worried here. So what you will do, you will go back why it happened. It will happen, unexpected consequences. Then what you can do, managing the risk, you can minimize this by doing all the safety, efficacy, and quality. That is the guidelines. That's why in more, all the cases you never see a death happening because you have seen all the side effects, avoidable, unavoidable. That is safety, medication, device error, efficacy of the instrumentation, product defects, quality. How is it? ICHQ9 prevent adverse effect, and that happens. Still, some consequence might happen, but ICH-Q9 works with Q8 and Q10 to minimize this and give the best public health scenario for us. So where does Q9, Q10, Q8 sit in the process? You look into that. The diagram has been now blanked into green, yellow, and other. So design Q8 comes, pharmaceutical development system. Then patient is at the end. Q10 comes in the manufacturing and distribution, where management plays a key role, and Q9 is integral to both concepts. That you should be knowing by now. Just a definition of it, you can understand quality risk management. Why the term QRM came first place? Should have done something else, right? Risk factors in pharma, risk factors in drug, or some other risk associated with pharma production. Why they have to involve management here? Remember that quality risk management. The management means you think of managing the factors, but at the same time, they are literally saying that management will be involved here. Quality risk management. So quality is that's what you want, fulfill safety risk. It's already inherent risk is there, the management, systematic process, the people, processes, documentation, communication, all that across the product. So implementation again, where to be in future, what to do, how to do, detailed instructions. We start from the basic triangle. You have to always remember this hierarchy. A lot of stuff will happen. You may not have 4, you may have 10, but understand what is in the basic process, how we are moving up in the triangle process, how we are reaching the peak where the end product is coming up. Documentation system, how to do, what to do, and then where to be in the future. So rules and procedures, that yellow tells you that already following these rules, you are minimizing the risk, it's saying. But you see ICHQ9, how many arrows is coming up there? How many of the arrows contain risk? See, read the terms, risk-based approach, implementation, risk-based thinking, risk, 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 risk. You might add 50 more arrows there. The more risk arrows, the more measures you add there from ICHQ9, the minimal or whatever risk comes in the rules and responsibilities that implementation plays a role there. Please understand that. We are for simplicity, we are showing the 5 arrows here. The 5 arrows may not be enough. We will be dealing with a lot of points from the ICHQ9 so that when you start implementing and start the production starts, the risk will be minimized. And again, see the records. The records are the one on the end. Now this can visually tell you what is documentation, what is record. Documentation is what you are implied to do, what are you are told to do, and all given on that. At the end, doing so, you create a record, you keep it aside. Okay, 5 or 10 minutes. PQS is a quick recap. It's not too much talk about QRS is the QRM is the important factor we need to emphasize on. If you understood QRM, Q9, Q10 is.
Sir, I have a question. Can you hear? Hello, sir. I can. Sir, can you hear me? Hi, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, who is
Ramin Tat, sir.
Can you repeat the question?
Sir, I have a question. That is it necessary that finished product should follow all these guidelines, or it starts from the raw material itself? Like that raw material should also like pass through all these guidelines, or like.
Yeah, because when you think of raw material, when you think of finished product, as I said, it should start from raw material itself. Because as I said, risk is associated. If a risk from the raw material comes in, you may not get a finished product. That process will not go to there. Let's say copper, OOD, OS comes from the raw material. You stop the process from there, send it back to get all the documents approved, signed by the QC and QA. So you don't see any finished product coming from that risk associated with that specific raw material. That is the system established.
Okay.
So if you think that you're seeing A to Z, you think that you might be seeing something in between. This is visually we are explaining. But when you start from the point of raw material to labeling, all will be checked and you don't see Z coming, you don't see G coming in between the alphabets. You will be sending it back. Okay, this is bad. You check or you change the vendor, you take another raw material. All the QC verified, QC manager, top lead of the QC manager who is checking the packaging, raw material. He will do 1 month tests on it, approved by all guidelines that this material, X material has to pass 10 tests. No microbials, pass 5 tests, microbiology. They will do all tests. When the recording established that all are done, approved by 4 people who are certain that this product is good, then only next step process. Next step may be in the formulation only, that is B or E. It will not come to finished product at all. You take risk, then you send it back, you come again, you send it back like that. At 3 to 6 months, at the end of the day, the system works in a way that you do all this troubleshooting, you do all the risks, but still you can produce into production area. Sometimes it may not happen, that's fine, but this is the process. You move on, come back, front and back, it will be keep going on. Don't think that once approved the material comes in, you get a finished product in 2 months. No way.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
How often do they evaluate the risk? When it goes out of specification, only at those times, or they evaluate it very often?
Yeah, as we said, there is inherent risk, but there is an inherent risk that you may say percentage based, but where is the tangibility? Can you touch the risk? Can you touch and see the risk? Unless you test it, you cannot do that, right? When you follow the SOP and procedure, then if OOD or OS comes, then it tells that, oh no, there might be a risk factor involved here. So the rising of the OOD OS is the indication of a risk. What the risk there, and then the top management or the QC manager can judge in which SOP it came, in which OOD category it came, which department it came. Based on that, they will be very keen on following, and then they will. There is some process of report generation. Mishraji has mentioned something in CGMP. If something happens, there is a response should be in X number of days. If something happens, response should be in 15 days, like that field report, or if I remember properly. So there is a timeline given for that. So when the risk comes, when the OOD comes, OS comes, they by looking at that from which department they know how minimal risk associated with this deviation. For example, they may be seeing a lot of OODs in the when the trainers come new, quickly finish training or newcomers. They may come small things that they will take understanding that no, some human error might be here. You let repeat it by another experienced guy. Both of them repeat it. See if both comply with the same observation, then they may go into higher risk, rising another specification that is more important to the QC unit. Like that. Yeah, okay. So can I move forward?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir,
Yeah.
sir, can you please explain the technology transfer with an example?
With an example. Okay. So let's say an example for technology transfer. One aspect may be internal to the regional requirements and internal to the company. One example, let's say X product. But another product Y comes from US FDA approval. One from Europe, EMA approval. Two products, and you are producing it in India. So they To establish that, to get approval from FDA for production in India, first they will look in the technology transfer aspects. I may not use a specific drug formula and all that. I may take an example A and B, let's say Europe and US. Before doing anything, the company, when they want to establish a physical infrastructure, they might have done a lot of stuff on auditing, a lot of stuff on instrumentation, direction, all. They might have followed all the guidelines for these buildings and all, HVACs and all. They establish a system that is being done, all is avoided. But when it comes from a product to USA, Europe, or somewhere else, Australia, the product in terms of raw material, temperature, for example, one aspect is that stability testing. If you have a tablet expiration date, if you need to see that what is the pH, what is the temperature of the tablet, all those varies from India to US and Australia to Europe. If you are sending it there, you have to keep an eye on the technology transfer for the finished product on the conditions where the product will be there. For example, I'm saying at the end product. In between, there is again process variation happens from Europe to here, and the drug formulation change will happen. So as I showed in the second slide, there is 4 or 5 tabs that move on. Each tab will guide critically to the European or US requirement, or based on a natural product, animal product, plant extract, what is the API, what is the excipient. Based on that, the protocols change. I already mentioned in the week 1, if a chemical material is used, what is the structure of the material, what are the peaks in mass spec you should expect. Those kind of things will move on each process. So tech transfer is, in terms of pharma, in terms of general, any software or any other product, is a common foundational module where you work on a different principle, cater to the need of the company, need of the requirement where the product is going. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
If you take an example of a case study in terms of a product that coming from US, a specific drug, then the SMEs from Biocom can discuss a case study, how they did it. Please put a word to Ishwaran if he's arranging that. That would be a great example. Okay. So quick 5 minutes wrap on ICH Q10, pharmaceutical quality system. Specifically the scope, product life cycle it works. Prasanna was covering, I have seen his lecture, covering on one table that talks about pharmaceutical development, technology transfer again here, commercial manufacturing and product discontinuation. Product discontinuation, the lectures we will discuss in week 6 and week 7, quality testing, stability testing play a key role there that we will discuss in the coming few weeks. And tech transfer, I explained. In commercial manufacturing, you should make a production unit. Pharmaceutical development, if R&D you are doing here, you can do the tech transfer from beginning yourself. But if you are taking a contract from abroad, they might transfer all the details of the R&D to you, and they will see that according to that, can you move on with the equipment and the infrastructure here? Then only they will transfer that R&D process to you. That is highly confidentially, they will transfer the information. Then you go ahead with that, where QMS plays, quality management system. These are the 4 areas Q10 plays a key role. Again, Q10 works with Q9, and you have to remember that. Here, management plays a key role, management responsibility, commitment. They have to be highly committed, high integrity, high responsibility on the product. Quality policy, quality planning. They will work on policies, quality manual, quality planning, SOPs and all. It's remember that SOPs and quality manual can change from company to company. Okay? Remember that based on the regional requirement, based on the drug, you will change based on conscious decision and scientific knowledge, and you update that to regulatory. But you cannot change the ICH 9 guideline 3A. You cannot change. You are not allowed to do that. That's been an established idea guidelines. You have to. But when you implement them, SOPs and all you can change based on the requirement, regional requirement or unit requirement. You update to the QA, QC, and then they will update to the regulatory agencies, and the expert says, okay, we are allowing this based on your recommendation to change and follow. Internal communication, resource management, management review, management of outsourced activities, purchase material, change in product ownership. You might do that also. Patents, and then once product is there, or if product is on the loss, your bankruptcy, you may change the whole system, you may sell the company, then all these guidelines should be there. Outsourced activities, because when the system you work within, you know your people, then the human risk factor is minimized because you know, you trust them. But when you are outsourcing a material to a third party vendor, again the risk will be multiplied. Then you might look into their data, what is the audit report, what is the compliancy record of the vendor, maybe 20 years vendor, no audit negative reports, but still you have to follow up with this risk factor that may play a key role. First point, development. Second point, technology transfer. A little bit of English. You have to look into design product, R&D, exploratory and clinical studies that you have to work on. Tech transfer. Transfer product or process. You may transfer a product, you may transfer a process. Process is the R&D proposal. That knowledge between development and manufacturing or between within the sites that moves on tech transfer. PQS elements, management review, the fourth point, performance and product quality. Management has to play a key role here in QMS, in pharmaceutical quality system, quality management system. Data. They will look on documents, records. Documents already established, they may be changing, but they will look on records, they will look on the data, they will look on all the OODs, CAPAs, how it was done, who did it, who is responsible, who will take a final decision on whatever happening. That they will be QRM leaders and QMS leaders will be there similarly. They will take appropriate actions also. The actions will commensurate with the mistake done by. If it's a blunder, by giving all the training, you did a blunder, the action consequence will be different. But if it's a mistake, then they know that how to do and okay, more training is required. Put one more backup person, they will contact. Improvement to manufacturing process and products. Sometimes an instrumentation that they use it is outdated. They have to update the instrumentation with novel technology available. Then they have to look in the investment there, improvement on the product manufacturing process instrumentation that they will work on. And then training and realignment of resources. If the X person is given the training, maybe he will not suit to this QC department, he will not suit to QA department. They will give him more time, look on giving more training, more freedom and learning opportunities. Again, they will assess. Management will assess, no, based on his skills, I think he will be good in R&D, let's move him to R&D and then they will give training there. They look on that resource mobilization. And capture and dissemination of knowledge. Records are established, records are documented, they are all kept properly, a lot of backups. That's what Mishraji was saying, uncontrolled copy, obsolete copy, what are the documents, you should remember about that. We will keep track of that. So again, 4 points: development, transfer, manufacturing, discontinuation, and GMP again plays a key role. Management responsibilities, PQS elements that we discussed. COPA will come here. Change management system. If consistently X group of team given the duties or given the responsibilities, they are failing consistently. They may see if it's process of the unit instrumentation, not the man or woman. Then they may change the whole management into another team. They will see how this team is performing. Then they can identify that both teams produce the same thing. They might go back into instrumentation or something with HVAC system that is a non-human factor. And the later knowledge management, they will keep track. They may see an example happen here. They may check back all over the world, right? Data is already submitted. Data is available. All mistakes you can go and see. That's what Ms. Achyuta mentioned about an FDA audit report, why this company has closed, why this center has been closed. They have specifically put a sentence saying that based on these, we close these. So if you are doing a product, you don't want to see that. That is a very bad reputation. You don't want to see that at the end of the tunnel. You may at the beginning of the step itself go and see, oh, why they failed, what is the mistake. They may show that how many OODs they raised, what are the COPA they did, what failed, what success. They may show all the records. You may request the FDA based on this document number. Then you see that if it matches with your word, then you might update to the FDA or a regulatory agency that I am also facing same problem, any other guidance. Let's talk to your team itself and work on the risk management and all, so that you avoid the risk with some extra effort. Some scenarios you can read on your free time that where opportunity to facilitate loss para I'm studying, facilitate science-based, enable innovative approaches, establish real-time release mechanism, up-to-date knowledge, real-time consequence. You can look one time, compliance status quo, because the company's reputation will be at risk if anything goes bad. Maybe they might close the production unit also, then no customers will be ready to take you. The more audit reports gives negative, you have to send the customer the audit report to sell your truck. If it's not compliant, non-compliance comes, it's a bad reputation for the company. Look into that. In conclusion, ICH Q10 is not intended to create new expectations. They don't want something new out of it. They want already established system. You implement, you follow the rules. We give freedom, little bit freedom there, and consequently, following the rules, you put it into good GMPs. And you follow. There is some kind of leniency will be given all because regional requirement based on the facility, based on this and some. You don't need to sometimes strictly follow 99%, but there will be lenience given approved by the regulatory agency that they will tell you work on this. Again, elements of should be applied in a manner that appropriate and proportionate to each of the product life stages. That's why they said appropriate and proportionate to the regional requirement, to the technology process where it's happening, and to the department which is going on. So the set of the goals, and at the end, when you change it also, you already a preconceived risk level should not go above. So if you change something, automatically the system is documented. If you change a point here to there, it will say the risk factor is jumped to 50. The manual system tells you. Then you don't need to go there. You go into the another option. It may fail sometimes, but you try your best. So to conclude today's recap, so same thing, identify, plan, execute, review. So you have to continuous process improvement, continuous process verification. That's an important factor in the pharmaceutical life cycle of the drug, life cycle of the data, life cycle of whatever goes. Planning, identify any operational, review, and execute them properly. Okay. So, any doubts, clarification better than from lecture 9 and 10?
Excuse me, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, so if they follow the new, like if they change the management system,
Yeah.
is there anything they should update it, or they should follow the old one as well?
So that's a good question because you might be asking that why they are changing the management blindly looking on human error, right? That may be that you are thinking. So if they are testing one independent option, if you're doing an experiment with standards and controls, if something fails with the experiment, the expected results, when you do another repeat with that, change the person or change something, but you don't change the protocol. If you
Okay.
change the protocol, you are again not able to find the wrong, what is the risk or what is the factor that's working on. So the people will change, all the procedures will be same. Okay, then you look for the data. Same error is repeated, then there's some problem maybe in the other consequence. Human factor is not the error there. But you
Okay.
can also plan it in a way that you go with the changing system, changing document, you can go with that. But you don't want to go into too much variables because already the system is established in a way that the variables are very less. You might have to look on 2 to 3 options. If all fail, you stop. If all fails, what happens? You know in the QC unit, they will close the QC unit. Nothing happens. No standard will be prepared. No HPLC will run. No pipette will be used. Nothing. When 2 factors check, third factor OS and another copper fail all, they will stop working from that unit from that point. They will stop. They will all sit together. Then they will find the remedy, and that remedy may work or not. That will be approved by the QC head and the top management, but they will also know the risk with that, but they know the minimal risk and they will say change this, okay, do for 2 more weeks, then come and correct the action, later we will see. But with their expertise, like Mishraji says something, it works. In 2 weeks they say, oh, everything is going smooth, all documents are approved. So variability, you have to work on that. Otherwise, it's you are working in from starting from zero. In 3 months, you have to produce the product to USA. You cannot ask them for extension of deadline. No, no, something came, some pipette broken, some HVAC happened. We need 3 more months extension. They will not agree. They will say, thank you, bye bye. So you will be not obliged to. So that's why the quality system, stability, and quality testing, all there will be backups, backup checking, backup process. If something fails, you don't need to go from zero. they might have gone to step 4, already fine. Step 8 is problem. You may go back to step 4 again, don't need to check to 0. Start from step 4 again, redo. Like that, the system works in a redundant manner that makes sure that the end of 3 months, that's correct. Because how the plan is established by the top lead of top management lead is very the integrity and the expertise of the person, the finance department and CEO or founder, they believe in it. That's why they are in that lead role, right? The QC lead role, higher management role is not an easy job. That the responsibility comes with you have to be accountable for whatever happens. So that way it works.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Okay, can we wrap up now? What happened? Can we wrap up the lecture or any questions? I'm saying you cannot hear me.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. You guys are unable to hear me.
Sir,
I have a question. Listen. Sir,
Yeah, Anisha.
sir, it's me, Gopika. Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
That you hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So you talked about quality policies. So I want to know what are those policies and who are they managed, how they are conducting, and
Okay. So the quality policies, then you have to, I don't recollect exactly which of the Q. If you go into the ICH guidelines, you may be finding a tab that shows quality policy there. Okay. I cannot remember the terms. You can open ICH, you can go, then you can open the tab that shows quality policies, or I will update you the HTML link. You can open on that. The quality policy is again inherent to the requirement and the company. It may not comply exactly ditto to the ICH guidelines. They may change, they may review. The quality manual is compelled through the quality policies only. If you see Lakshmi Achyuta top, quality manual is on the peak of the triangle. That's at the peak. It will depend on SOPs and quality policies below. So exact policy examples, I can send you the link. You can have a look at that. Gopika, right? Yes, I will
yes.
send you the link. More information on that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, or can we wrap up, or more discussion? Okay. The quiz will. I will implement the quiz bit based on little bit time taken out. Don't need that. 5-10 minutes. I will be here only. Then we can implement the quiz timeline with that. Any more discussion required? Can do. The quiz will be again testing on basically the first 2 weeks are factual information sharing. So the quiz will be accordingly. Don't
Sir,
expect. Yeah.
sir,
Yeah. Yeah.
sir, it's me, Aruna.
Yeah.
Hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Last time, Prasanna sir had given a quality policies for clinical trials, manufacturing, raw materials, marketing.
Okay. He has given in
Is
the.
there any sequence between these, like which one comes first, or like, is there anything like that?
Okay. Here I have to see the presentation. I read it. So he has mentioned exactly the policy numbers or some more details there.
No, actually, I had given an activity to place those in a sequential order. So I'm asking, is there any sequence for this quality policy?
Okay, okay. As such, you cannot really sequentially put that. But coming from the beginning of the raw material, where the process is starting, when you propose, when you formulate, the process starts from step 1, right? Then where there is a process development, R&D, formulation research, and at the end product, we started with plant extract and animal extracts on the left. We went to the product at the dead end of the right side. So you start from that, then you are going to product, then you have to look in the quality policy there only. That is the hierarchy. Without raw material, you cannot make a API, active pharmaceutical ingredient, you cannot make. It will go through the steps, then excipient will be added to make active drug product. Excipient will come there. So there will be procedure established from the starting of the material, which step is going on. Then a policy pertinent to that starts. Hierarchy means then you start from raw material, packaging material, then you go into formulation, then you go into production. If microbiology involved, you go into that more details in that production process. At the end, stability and quality testing and finished product.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, it's a bit clear, better understanding on pharmaceutical quality system and risk management now.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Perfect. So I will be here only. If you give me some time, I will work on uploading the timeline for the quiz. What's the time exactly now? 9:40. How much time do you guys need to break?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So we actually
Quiz.
Ah.
so we were all thinking, can we write it on Monday, every Monday, sir, so that we can prepare on Saturdays and Sundays.
What I discussed with Ishwaran also in the beginning, maybe Friday, that's what Thursday lecture might be too early for you to revise and go on.
Yes, sir.
But I cannot control right now. But is Ishwaran available now?
We will talk to sir. Yeah.
Uh, to be honest, the quiz first and 2 week quiz will be factual information, not too hard. So don't think too much about that. I know your worry. I can understand. It's okay. Your talk, your decision. If you guys can call Ishwaran, I can speak to him.
We'll
Uh,
talk to sir first and then we'll see what sir will tell sir.
right now, I will call him. Then I will update you the decision. Okay, I'm muting now. I will get you back in 5 minutes.
Okay, sir.